Oh, do you know what I realized? I've stopped. They didn't record. So, oops. It's fine. Don't worry, because I like to put these on YouTube afterwards. So, hello if you're watching on YouTube. You missed the titles, but you know what they look like anyway. Okay, so first tech error out the way. There's usually a couple, so it's nice to get it out the way early. First of all, very important question. What tea are you drinking there?
Well, I am having lemon and ginger tea with Manuka honey.
Ooh, and that's because you're a huge fan of those flavors, I'm guessing.
Well, this is a special occasion, Russ. It's not every day you're in our living room.
Oh, it's actually the first time I
bring out the Manuka honey.
Ordinarily, we just drink standard English tea.
Yeah.
But we've been drinking a lot of that recently. And so Lindsay's having the lemon ginger Manuka honey one, and I'm having a cinnamon tea.
Ooh, that's like a
cinnamon.
Is that like a chai style?
Kind of, yeah. It reminds me of chai.
Yeah.
Just without the rest of the flavors.
It's very sweet though. You don't need honey in this one.
It's good.
But well, thanks for thanks for making it so uber fancy this time, just for this show. It's very, very much appreciated. I should say hi to Ross, who's watching. Thank you so much. If you have any questions and this goes for everybody, if you have any questions for Chris and Lindsay, please type them in the chat. We will ask them at the end of the stream. And so actually, let's get cracking on with the real hard-hitting questions. I'm kidding. There's nothing crazy on here. You don't have to worry. But actually, you are obviously the two people behind the Box YouTube channel. And you're doing quite well for yourself. I've seen the number of subscribers you've got, and you're doing pretty well. So congratulations. How about you tell the people how that kind of started? Like, where did that sort of decision to do a review YouTube channel come from?
You want to take this one?
Yeah, it was
his idea.
It was my idea. Well, not that I invented the idea of giving YouTube reviews.
We have Chris, the inventor of YouTube reviews, right here with us today.
The original.
But no, it was a few years ago, and we actually made the channel in April of, was it 2017 or 2016?
Maybe.
We made the channel and then didn't do anything for almost, I think, a year, pretty much, because we were just terrified of starting.
Yeah.
And so we just because we had a bunch of board games, we loved playing them, talking about them, showing them off to our friends and family. And I was watching a lot of board game reviewers at the time and finding it really useful to sort of guide the next game we were going to play or look into by using that. And so I was like, we could do that. We're well-spoken enough people that don't look
speak
insane.
The fancy English.
Yeah. So we speak real good. So we were like, let's give it a go. And so we made the channel and then chickened out. And then it was like October or something that same year.
I think September was when we did the, you know how you can do like a little, we still actually have it on our YouTube channel now, like an introductory video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that is from September 2017 or something. I'm not sure.
And so we eventually were like, let's just do it. No one's even gonna watch it anyway. so we did it, and then it's been a bit of a hobby then of ours since.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks. Well done for starting it, because it is kind of scary actually when you're starting something new. I wasn't actually the guy who started this channel. It was my friend Ben, and then I kind of did it with him, and then kind of just took it as an opportunity to do something from an established channel. But it wasn't really established then. It was still hardly anybody knew about it. But it is still scary, So fair play for making the leap. And obviously that's done very well for you because, look at you now. You have taken a bit of a break, right? You've taken a bit of a break recently.
Yeah. So
it's been slow. Last year up until AirCon, I think we didn't do much. We sort of redid the way that we did videos, sort of.
Yeah, we rebranded a little bit, changed some of the graphics, and we had a new vision for the direction the videos were going to go in, because obviously we used to do the black t-shirts, sitting at a table, just talking about a game, and that was it. And then we were like, we could make it a bit more dynamic, a bit more interesting. So that's been the direction that we've wanted to start going in. We took a break last year. Long story short, basically my work-life balance completely changed. I was at work all the time, the times when we would normally record and play games, I was at work. So then I was at home when Lindsay was at work. And that really just threw us quite a bit. And then I got a new job working at the company that we talked about at Aircon. And so then it opened us up a bit more to be able to do stuff. So we've been playing a lot more games, doing our live streaming. We've recently taken sort of just a break anyway. Just with, I don't know, it just sort of came about. We just sort of, we didn't want to push the lack of creative, like we were just not feeling it. And so we didn't want to push to do it and have it not be very good. But we do currently have a couple of scripts in the works.
Cool.
And a video that'll be coming out on the 27th of this month.
It's like 8 days time from when we're recording this.
Yeah.
For those.
So yeah, that's right. It's for a game going on Kickstarter. We got sent a copy of it. We played it. It's a very interesting game. And so yeah, we're gonna get that done and put that live. And then we're also doing another one for Marvel Champions because I've fallen in love with that game.
Yeah, I saw you posted on Twitter recently about like printing off and sleeving a load of like fan stuff. So am I right thinking like a fan of the game has created their own content?
Yeah.
And
there's a huge community of content creators.
So I mean, obviously, we'll ignore the sort of like what do I call licensing issues behind that, because obviously that's probably not legit. But okay, we'll move past that. How do you feel about like a game that's created with fans then? Because obviously they wouldn't have the same resources. Like, have you tried it enough? Does it feel like balanced? Does it work?
From what we've played of them, it feels just like it fits in. I think
there's some that are better than others. I will say that.
But that's true to the core game anyway. Some of the characters in, like, I would say, for example, I don't know if you played it or not, but the Doctor Strange character is better than any of the pre-made, any of the custom ones that we've played so far. And he's a core real hero. I think the benefit they have with doing the custom content is there's such a big community. They've got a big Discord channel, and you can get it on the tabletop simulator version of the game as well. And so it's been play tested effectively for a bunch of time already with other people. So when they're like, hey, here's the final version, it's kind of gone through a play testing just like how they would do at Fantasy Flight. Obviously not as extensive and probably not with as much experience with developing the games, but generally they've worked really well. I've been really pleased.
Okay. Because I always feel like I don't know, because I've not actually been involved with the game that's sort of this thoroughly designed, but I always felt they have some kind of formula where they can work out if something is overpowered or not. I mean, that's just some complete guesswork, but if you don't have access to that formula, I wonder if it makes creating a game. But it's nice that, it is nice to know that people are creating content for their favorite games, and people like yourselves are actually playing this. That's quite nice to hear. So yeah, that's obviously a favorite of yours, and will be Ross says basically play testing and smarts.
And smarts?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, my background's in games design before I did this job here. And so it's just a lot of play testing, and then not so much formulas, but you have like set rules, like the total of all stats needs to equal a certain amount. So how you spread those out kind of defines the strengths and weaknesses. And they just seem to be following the same basic principles in these custom content.
I don't like to, spread baseless conspiracy theories, but I'm going to say right now that I think perhaps some of the design team behind the game are doing these, but in secret. I'm joking. I mean, that's just completely baseless. I shouldn't probably have said that, but
official and confirmed right
now.
The
rumor mill.
That explains. There's like this one person that makes these, and theirs seems to be just better than all the other rest of them.
I think he just puts a bit more work into it.
Like or maybe he has all those secrets.
Well, we'll never know. Wink. Anyway, so I want to ask you, because obviously I've done some reviews myself. I don't do many video reviews, but I've done some written stuff as well. And like, in terms of the board game reviewer thing, like, people must be curious. Some people must be curious, especially if they don't do reviews themselves. Like, how does that begin? Like, do you establish yourself, and then do you like approach people, or do you find people approach you? Just out of curiosity. And if you don't have to answer that, if you don't want to, because it feels a bit like a bit nosy, that question.
No, that's a meaty question.
Wait, I said
well,
no meaty questions, didn't I? So probably should no.
It can go both ways. I think like when we first started, it was very much reviewing our own games that we already knew and loved, and like just talking about what was good and bad about them, so that we could recommend them to people who like certain things. And then from there, once like we started growing and getting more confident, then we started reaching out a bit more to different companies and stuff. Yeah.
It was actually Ross that kind of gave me some advice on that last year at the UK Games Expo. We just had a bit of a chat about it, and he made it. I can't really remember exactly how the conversation went, but he made a series of good points to me about us approaching other people. So many people approach publishers and designers for copies of games. It's not likely that they're going to just be randomly reaching out to people. They've usually got enough people reaching out to them. And so if you're not doing that, then you're not one of the people that might get the game to review.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we started being a bit more confident with that, and especially as our following growed and we showed like a consistency in uploading videos, which we've not really kept to recently. But
just edit that bit out.
Yeah. But we have had some people, well, a lot. All the time we get emails about a game, and it's always Kickstarter games, so we don't tend to really look into those too much. We'll just send a nice email back, especially at the moment where we're not really having as much time or using as much of our time to make more videos, except for the game. It's called The Emerald Flame, coming out next week on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So that's that one. Just when we got the email, it was quite a while ago, and we were still more consistent, and it really interested us. So
yeah, every once in a while you do see one and you just think like that's totally worth it. You know, I want to take the time to play that. I want to take the time to make, especially with the new format of the videos that we've been doing, we're putting a bit more effort into it than we did when we first started.
Yeah.
You know, when we first started, we'd crack out like 3 videos on a Saturday and then release them. Well, Can you believe that? We used to do that.
We used to, so
that's impressive.
Yeah, it was crazy. We used to wake up, we'd write scripts on the same day. So we'd get up on the Saturday.
Well, they were bullet points, weren't they?
Yeah, we'd bullet
really,
point. It wasn't even scripts. It was a loose bullet point of like the stuff we wanted to talk about with the game.
Yeah.
And we'd write like 3 or 4 of them. Sit down in front of the camera in the table. We used to have really old, crappy camera.
We used to use an ironing board and like put 2 lamps because we didn't have like a proper lighting situation. Oh.
So if you look at our earliest videos, Lindsay looks a little bit green and I look a little bit red, and there's just a general orange hue to the whole picture. It looked really bad. The sound quality was probably the only thing that was decent, and the analysis, I would say.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We'd just bullet point stuff, and then we'd just wing it. We'd sit down and be like, right, I'll start, and then we'll throw it to you, and you'll say something about this bullet point. And by the end of the day, we were both just in really bad, sour moods, because we're like, it took so long, all this stuff we had to do.
I was thinking, I think there is a kind of, what's the word I'm thinking of? There's a tendency for people, especially when they're starting out doing something like this, where you feel like you always have to be like the best. You have to be up the top tier for you to feel like it's worth your time to do them. And that's not to say that, you know, what you have to say isn't worthwhile. And obviously, you guys have an opinion and it's worth sharing, or maybe people not talking about a game. But I almost feel like if you put something out that's like subpar quality, even by your own standards, you feel like, well, why should I put that out there? Like, I don't want people to see that. But at the same time, you only get better at doing something by doing it bad at the first place. Yeah. So, I mean, I just want to say to anyone out there who's watching that if you are thinking about doing content, I mean, I can prove this, by the way, because if you look back at the earliest live streams, interviews that I did with poor Ross, if you look at Ross's, it's just a crazy technical travesty where the box windows are going all over the place, the quality is low. I'm like constant. Yes, Ross just said he misses the boxes moving around. That's a feature, not a bug. now. I should bring that back. But yeah, and you do it. Just do it. Do a rubbish video, even if it might not even be rubbish. Like, I think people warm to people, and I think people warm to like opinions and feelings and just vibes, rather than actually like whether the game looks amazing. And if you go back to any of the big YouTube channels, they all weren't, you know, nearly the same standard as they are now. So like, just go for it. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say that. I don't know if it's useful to anyone out there, but I feel like it's worth saying at this point, especially after what you just said.
That's a good message.
I think that's totally true. Our earliest videos, they are, I think, so much different. The newest video we did was our top 10 games of last year, and I felt very proud of that as a product. I felt like it was a good video. We covered things well. The lighting was good. The audio was good. The camera quality was good. Compared to our first videos, but it's just that starting. You've got to get going. And I remember your first one of these with Ross. And the boxes.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was just saying in the stream, I was like, hey guys, if you see, I'm just like kind of resizing the boxes. I try not to make a big deal about it. It was like, I can't ignore it. It's just too much of a problem. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that you are now, I'm husband and wife, right? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So being husband and wife, doing, you know, this kind of channel together, and I know that you also work in the same company as well, right? What's the dynamic there? Like, how does that work for you guys? Like, I'm talking mainly about the YouTube channel specifically, because I feel like work is a different thing, but this is meant to be like a bit more kind of fun and passionate, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what helps is, well, we are best friends, and I think that helps. But also, you are very patient, like super patient, and I know that my mind is all over the place, and I think you have a really good way of sort of taking all of what's happening and putting it into something that can actually be something. I think that's part of why it works so well.
So basically, Lindsay's saying it works really well because I'm part of the team. No, I think that's true. I think we do a good job. We both have very similar tastes in the games that we enjoy playing, and the opinions. Like, if we play a game and then separately write down our opinions of the game, so much of it matches up. Yeah. But then what makes it good is that there will then be those little bits that stand out for me differently to you. Yeah. And so quite a lot of our videos, there'll be me gushing about a certain thing, and then you pointing out what I'm maybe missing with it, and then vice versa. You'll be like, this was great, and I'll talk about why that didn't necessarily work for me. And there's a few people that have followed us pretty much from the start that I think they view themselves very much like us in their taste of games to us.
Yeah, they align.
So we become a good resource, I think, for a lot of couples that are playing games together, because we view games similarly and we want to play the same games together. But then there are the odd bits where, like, I'll notice something that I did like a lot or didn't like so much, and I can talk about that, and then you'll have the same thing. And usually it works out, I think, quite nicely.
Yeah.
Ross just said creative and analytical minds are a great match, and I agree with that. I think it's nice. So obviously, which of those do you think you are?
Ooh, I think it depends. I think sometimes I'll be very creative, but then other times I'll have no inspiration, and then you'll have all these ideas.
I think more often than not, you're the one that has the big aspiration, the big ideas of the things we can do, the creative side of it. Yeah. And then I'll usually have to say no because it might not work, or
we'll hire a castle and we'll film with like red cameras.
Yeah.
Lindsay's the director. Lindsay's vision, you know, and I'm the studio that's like, well, you can't really afford.
Yeah, that's not gonna work. You can't film underwater, Lindsay. I'm sorry.
Oh man, that Underwater Cities game review would have been so much better if we'd have just been able to film underwater. Paul Grogan from Gaming Rules just popped in to say hi, so I should say hello back, and thanks for tuning in. And I will ask his question at the end. He has becoming known for asking dairy related questions on the stream, and I will ask yours, so I'm writing it down late. Don't worry, it's
forward to it.
nothing. It's nothing revelationary, but it's nice. It's like a quirk right now of my Tea in the Chat live. I always forget to ask though. Anyway, so being that you are a husband and wife duo and you play a lot of games together, I actually have a mini quiz. This isn't the game, by the way. So what I usually do in these, this is like very low key, by the way. So it's just 3 quick questions, just to kind of get to see if you're on the same wavelength in terms of your gaming things. But we'll have a proper game later on that the audience can participate in too. Which I've come up for you, just for you.
Should I get a whiteboard?
Oh no, it's I was thinking, well, it's a little bit like this thing I'm gonna do now, but I was thinking earlier, it'd be nice to do like a Mr. and Mrs. style game, like the honeymoon game, but no, it's not gonna be like that. It's literally just like, so you need to basically like a 3, 2, 1 point, whether it's you or the other person that matches these things, right? So there's just a couple ones, so I haven't got a long one, but so I'm going to do a countdown, and on 0 you need to point at who is the person that most represents these. All right, so so who is the best games rules teacher? So 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that's nice. You're on the same wavelength there. Okay, all right, so another one. Who wins the most games? So 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. Wow. So you are okay. Yeah. So this one,
Lindsey tends to beat me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You're on the same wavelength. Finally, who is the sorest loser? 3, 2, 1. Well done. Well done. Thanks for playing along with that. So what is it? So obviously you win most times, but when you lose, not that happy about it. Is that what I can summarize from that?
I think what is so hard for me is when you put so much effort into something. You know, you play a game that's like an hour and a half, 2 hours long, and you've tried really hard, and then you lose. I think that's so aggravating.
What tends to happen is Lindsey has now recognized that in herself, that idea of playing a game for 2 hours, playing a competitive game, and losing and then being really annoyed about it. And so she now just is like, I don't care, I'll do whatever I want. She won't just sabotage the game or kingmaker or anything, but she'll just be like, whatever, I'm not going to think that much about it, I'm just going to make decisions quickly. And yet she then still wins. And so it's like, she doesn't care, but her just randomly doing stuff, or seemingly randomly, unless it's all part of a big ruse.
No, I would say, like,
hustle.
What I do when I feel myself getting really competitive and, like, starting to get overwhelmed with the game, because I also have really bad, like, analysis paralysis, so what I do to try and combat that is treat it as an exploration. So, I haven't collected wood this round, let me try and see what that's like. Or I haven't done whatever else, built a road. I'm just like throwing this stuff out there, but I'll try different things because I'll just be exploring the game as opposed to try to win the game.
Yeah, but when we play cooperatively, if we play a game, like the games I love as cooperative games are usually a bit longer and a bit harder, things like ghost stories. So if we lose those, then you're like, I'm annoyed that we lost because we spent so much time.
Yeah.
We were working together, so we'll lose the harder co-op games, and then you're like, that sucks.
I do not like losing Spirit Island, for instance, or something like that, like where it's very hard and we've played it for a very long time. And the chair is now very uncomfortable.
I've had those situations myself of playing games and losing, and there is a definite tipping point after the amount of time you've invested into the game becomes the worst case scenarios. Then you can lose that game because it's like, this whole thing has been a waste. And you know what's even worse is doing the same thing again right afterwards and losing again. I've had that in Gloomhaven, so thanks Gloomhaven.
Oh, that is so
but I still love that game.
Yeah.
I still love that game. I mean, so in terms of when you play games then, because you are obviously living together and spending a lot of time together, do you generally play 2-player games most of all?
Yeah, mostly.
Well, I don't know. There are 2-player games, and then there's playing a game 2-player. So we do that a lot. Like, I don't think we own very many 2-player games.
Oh, I mean, that my question was more like games which can be played with 2 players rather than just 2-player games. Any game that includes 2-player games as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of our gaming these days is 2-player. Before the whole quarantining thing, we were doing a weekly play session with one of our friends from work, and then we would oftentimes at a weekend play with some of our like friends from outside of work.
Yeah.
So we probably twice a week do a 3 and 4-player game, and then most other nights is a 2-player game or a couple of 2-player games. Recently, it's been a lot of games. Just 2-player.
That makes sense. I mean, let's talk about it as well, because obviously this whole situation with coronavirus has impacted a lot of people's abilities to play games. So first question based on that is, are you guys okay? Are you doing well?
Yeah, we're good. We worked home for a while. We worked from home, and then we were furloughed. And that was scary at first, but it's like a giant vacation.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, you're not the only one. I'm also on furlough as well, so it has felt a bit weird. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this series if it wasn't for being furloughed. So I can there's good bits about that as well. I mean, it's for the benefit of, looking after this kind of crazy, horrible virus, but there's some good stuff to it as well.
Yeah, it is weird. It's like being unemployed without having to worry.
Yeah, I know, it's so strange
about your job. It's a very bizarre experience.
We do get stir crazy. There's been days where we've gotten a bit stir crazy, and taking a walk sometimes helps with that. And I know, we try and limit our shopping to just once a week, going to the shop.
Probably once every 10 days is what we've been.
Well, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's quite impressive, actually.
Well,
can I take some tips from you guys after the show's finished so I can learn not to do it?
I would say the main tip is, before it all started, have a really stocked pantry.
Yeah, that's too late for me.
A lot of beans. We had a 10-kilogram bag of rice. Yeah, so we
just by luck, or did you purposely seek that out?
We just we like having a lot of dry goods in. I don't know. Are we weird like that?
Clearly not, because you've obviously predicted the future. So, by the way, just a point to, thanks for the question, Ross. We will ask that to Chris and Lindsey towards the end of the stream. But if anybody is watching and wants to add a question, please type it in the chat. I'm logging them all down, and I will ask them towards the end of the stream. So another thing about coronavirus, slightly related, is obviously remote gaming. Now, I noticed that you actually did, because I know that when you were together early on in relationship, it was a long distance thing, and so I know that you did a video on your channel about remote and long distance gaming. So how useful has that been in this time? Obviously less relevant, because obviously you are together and you can just play the games together, but in terms of remote gaming with other people, has that put you in good stead? Have you learned from your past selves?
Absolutely.
We've been doing a little bit of remote gaming with Lindsay's family.
Oh, that's lovely.
And then we've done a few with some friends that are also just happen to be in America.
From back home, yeah. Some.
What kind of games?
So it's been a lot of, if you do ever watch that video that we did about long distance gaming, it's using a lot of that same stuff. So using a game where all the information is there.
Perfect information games, we call them.
Yeah. And then we're all taking our turns pretty much at the same time. So something like
Kokoro, Welcome to Number 9.
Yeah,
they've worked really well. We have done Pandemic as well with your family.
We did it with Mom and Dad.
The board.
And Sagrada, believe it or not, we did that with Mom and Dad.
So you moved the dice, I guess, onto their boards, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. That's quite innovative.
They do have a copy, but it was, we would move it and we'd have a camera facing the table.
You just control it here, Last night we did Escape the Dark Castle.
Nice.
With friends. Because that worked really nicely, because we read the cards and then just let them know what their options were. So that was quite a nice one. We've got a date tomorrow to play games. We've not decided what the games are, but some of our friends that we normally play with every week, they've asked if we can be free tomorrow.
Yep, a friend of ours is starting a D&D thing soon.
So you're RPG players as well?
Yes.
So right before the lockdown, we just started a new campaign. My brother was going to GM. It's going to be the two of us and a couple of friends.
Oh my God, you're so good at predicting the future, guys. You're in the wrong business here. You should be like fortune tellers.
So that has been put on hold. But our friends from America that we played with yesterday, they really want to do D&D, and so we're going to start doing that probably in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
Just do some modular encounter type set things.
Yeah.
So, curious, you've heard of like things like Roll20, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you could feasibly do that, carry on that campaign with your brother, no? Using stuff.
He doesn't like online.
Oh, okay.
He's picky. He
can be whatever he wants to be. I was just curious, why that was not an option to you, but it makes sense now. Fair enough. Well, yeah. So that's quite good. Like, I'm sure. You said I can't remember the name of the title, but if you wanted to plug it and to say, hey, this, because it will still be relevant now. Do you remember the name of the video? It's like top 10. No,
I think it was called Long Distance. It was when we used to do that series. Yeah, Gaming Solutions, and then I think it was Long Distance Gaming.
Is that a series that's coming back at any time, or?
If we do get like fresh ideas, then I don't know. I have had in my mind some ideas of like gaming solutions. Usually what it'll be is a problem that a gamer might run into, and then some games that can help make that easier for you or solve that problem or something.
Well, we did one about analysis paralysis.
Yeah, because that's something I'm really bad about.
If there's someone in your group that suffers from analysis paralysis, what are some things you could do to either help that player, or some games that you could play that kind of scratch a certain itch while not having as many choices? And we found that helped because you have always had pretty bad AP. The Gaming Solutions series was really good when we lived in Huddersfield, because we had a bigger gaming group and we would play with more people in bigger groups more frequently. And so we were seeing these, I don't want to call them issues, it's not an issue, but these traits pop up. So people that had short attention spans, people that had analysis paralysis, people that did this or that. And so we were able to kind of make a pretty good list, and from talking to other players and from talking to those players, sort of figure out, okay, what sort of helps you with that,
We had
and allow you to still play.
There's one that I've always wanted to solve, and whenever, because we used to play with a friend who it had trouble when put on the spot. So any kind of situation where they have to invent something or explain something or defend something, like they had a lot of trouble with games like that. And so we ended up just kind of avoiding games like that and just doing games where that person would never be on the spot. But it'd be that's something I've always wanted to find a solution for, where if you've got people who are hungry for that kind of game and they want to get that to the table, like what
can you propose for them? I just put a link to the video in question in the chat, so if anyone is watching, they can bookmark it and save it, watch it later. So there we go. So we're gonna probably start the game in about like 10 minutes. So we're gonna get through a few more questions. But what was now that we're kind of on the topic of creating videos and stuff, what has been your favorite video to make?
Ooh, to make.
Even if it's just you were the most proud of that video.
Okay, mine is definitely the sounds one. There was a video that we did. I think it's only like 2 minutes long, and it's my favorite board game sounds or something like that. And
that was really fun to do.
I worked so hard, on that video, and I don't think anybody saw it. Like it has so few views.
Oh, that's a shame. I'll find that video later and I'll put it in the chat as well. But it's so funny you say that, because I've been I don't know if you've seen, but on my YouTube channel I do like some different series, and one of them is Board Game Knockout, and it's basically where I kind of pitch different things to people I go to at conventions, and I just kind of propose them things. One of them was favorite game themes, one of them was favorite mechanics, and another one was favorite game components. And one of the ones I decided to start doing on Twitter was favorite board game sounds, because it is an important thing in games, like to be able to hear like dice clanking on rolling on the
Yeah, yeah.
table, or like a bag of chits, like you can hear that. That's so satisfying. So I totally get you, Lindsay. I gotta watch that video. So it's like almost like ASMR. Oh, Ross says he saw it. He said he's watched your video.
Oh, yay.
Thank you, Ross. You are one of the views, and they appreciate that. Okay. So you mentioned earlier on about live streaming as well, and I've actually watched a couple of your live stream, and I was actually disappointed to get excited for watching loads of good live streaming content to obviously then find that there wasn't so much happening, but you're bringing it back. You're going to do more live streaming.
So tomorrow we're going to be live streaming at 1:00 British Standard Time, British Summer Time.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing Marvel Champions.
Wow. Nice.
So we'll be doing that. So what happened was, we're currently in our living room, and we're using a small coffee table that we have to kind of lean over, and it was a bit uncomfortable. And the idea was we were going to bring our PC into the games room and set everything up in there, and then we were working from home.
Yeah.
And so that became our office.
I see.
And so we couldn't do it in there, and we were like, right, we want to get back into it, but it was making our backs really sore because we're old and unhealthy. And so then we got furloughed. We still have all the computer stuff from work. Obviously, we can't go back and bring it yet. But the space is there. So we're like, right, cool, we'll bring the PC in. But then we were like, but then we've just got this VR.
Yes, you were telling me about this earlier on. Can I tell you what the game you were playing earlier on was, Lindsay?
Yeah?
The one you were playing, the game, the job one.
The job... Russ knows what game I was playing?
Yeah, I have cameras everywhere.
Yeah, what was I playing? I was playing that
Job Simulator.
Yeah. I was missing work, and so I played Office Worker.
Oh my
Job
God.
Simulator.
It's a bit, I mean, it's not as boring as it sounds. Like, it's actually a really fun game. It's a bit like stupid humor where like it's a bit just like you're in like the wildest, most manic kind of job ever, and you've got like a copy machine that can copy objects, and you can throw things at people and stuff like that. It's a bit fun. Like, I haven't played it, but it's a game I'd really like to play. You have VR. Which set do you have?
It's an old Vive, just the standard HTC Vive. It was my brother's, and we purchased it from him, and he delivered it with his old PC. So we bought that from him as well. So the idea was going to be that we'd set the new PC, which is now kind of an older one, in the games room that we could live stream from, and we'd have the VR in here with this PC. We're just waiting on some parts to come for that PC.
Gotcha.
But I've been missing doing the live stream. I really want to get back into it.
Well, I'm missing them as well. So I can't wait for you to do more. So tomorrow at 1:00 BST, I'll tune in. It's actually the gap on my schedule, so that's perfect. I hope you knew that. I'm assuming you're such big fans for Chits and Giggles that you knew that it was the spare day that you weren't going to clash against me, right?
I made sure that you were going to be free.
Well, I'll be.
Do it.
I'm excited about it. I'm going to be tuning in.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it.
So actually, another question I wanted to ask you, and this is probably the most like deep question I'll probably get to, but have you noticed lately there's been a bit of controversy about reviewing on Twitter? I don't want to get into like really dig down in detail about it, but I'll explain just for those who aren't aware. There's been a lot of criticism about the lack of criticism in board game reviewing. In that term, and what I mean is when you sort of really sort of tear a game down into its components and really sort of dig down into what could be wrong with game. And there's kind of like this argument that there's not enough people doing that. And then on the other side of that, you have people who are getting paid to review, and that in itself is this whole controversy. Now, as reviewers, I feel like it's only pertinent to ask you your thoughts, and you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to get into a lot of detail about this, but do you think there is any merit at all to a lot of this controversy that's going around at the moment?
I think a little bit, yeah. I mean, any review that is of a game that's been sent, even without money, like if we get sent a game, there is, as much as we try and we are trying to be conscious not to let it affect us, there is going to be a bias of some sort, I'm sure. And that's probably true for everyone. So not being critical just because you got sent a game or because especially if you've been paid. If you've been paid to do a review, that I think is where you need to be very forward about that.
Yeah.
Because that will probably affect a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I know that people get paid for previews and for gameplays, and obviously like Paul and Rodney get paid to cover the rules of a game. That's just a purely factual thing, and that's fine. I don't know. I've never been too bothered by the overall idea of it, as long as people are honest about it and upfront about what has happened, whether they've been paid or the game was given to them.
Yeah.
I know my tastes in games. If their description of a game matches what I think I would like, then I would look further into the game.
Yeah, we've always been of the opinion that if we don't have anything good to say about the game, if we feel that the game will be very... Like, if we did a review and we thought the review was going to be really negative or meh, like not helpful, just like no opinion or anything like that, we just don't do it. We'd rather...
Yeah, I mean, we have done negative, like, we've done a couple...
That was back when we did...
Yeah, but we used to do board game exposure. There was a few games we got sent, and they were just very negative, because the game was just not good. And so...
This was when we were part of a group that, like, exchanged games. Like, we sent games around, and then you were kind of... Not obligated, but it felt... I don't know, but you...
Yeah, I can understand, like, if you get sent a game and you just don't do anything with it, it feels a bit like you owe them something. Do you know what I mean? Even if that's not necessarily true.
With the board game exposure thing, it was like somebody would be publishing a game or about to kickstart a game. They'd send it to one person. That person would then send it to another, and it would go in a circle like that. And then eventually, whoever liked it the most or whatever would be able to be given the game at the end of all of it. So a lot of times we did reviews for games that we then just sent on to a new person, and then we never got them, sent back to us, and that's just fine. But I think with negative reviews, because we're not being paid for it, we're using our own time and energy and money to produce our videos. It's not as fun, it's not as interesting for us to be like, let's just make a really negative video. Because that's a lot of time and energy used towards something negative.
Yeah, you didn't really...
We'd rather spend our time boosting the games that we love and want to see exceed, other expectations or do well. So it's a hard balancing act. We try and be critical of games. So when we do a review, even if we love the game, we'll still point out potential flaws or potential things that we need to raise for some people that may find issue with that, whether it's the style of game or whatever.
Do you pay much attention to... Because I know that this is kind of a new thing in gaming, and I understand... I do understand why it hasn't been covered before, but are you more aware of situations where like colonialism or gender representation, diversity and gender representation? Are you more aware of that in your reviewing, or you kind of mainly stick to sort of gameplay stuff? Because I personally, like I said, I've done some reviews and I'm still quite new to it, and I'm my eyes are opening to certain issues in games that I never knew before, and that's from watching other reviewers. But I just wondered if you also felt that, and if you felt there was more sort of, what's the word? I'm looking for, like, there's like you're obliged to kind of cover that stuff if it is an issue. Do you feel that?
I feel, well, for me, because I've grown up playing games, that wasn't really something that I would think about. And I think that kind of comes from the fact that I'm never on the receiving end of negativity in those situations, whether it's minorities or female representation. That isn't something as a white man that I've ever really had to be conscious of. So growing up playing games wasn't something I thought about. In the last probably 10 years or so, that has been more of a thing that I've started to notice, and that's because I've been married for that long, and we watch more of other people's content where they bring attention to that, and you kind of see it more then. The one that stands out to me as a video that we did was the Kingdom Death Monster review. Obviously the representation of both men and women in that it's very sexualized. But then there's, on the female side, there's a bunch of the what do they call them, like centerpiece, like the much bustier, more anime style, and it's much more sexualized. And we talked about that in our review that we did, just to bring light to it and bring attention to it, as like, hey, if you're considering getting this game, just to be aware, it is overly sexualized, and it's not for the game. It's not part of, not that you can ever justify it as like, oh, it's a mechanic, but
you could still have that game without
it's
having all of
purely
that.
visual. And when I can't remember exactly how we talked about it, but the way that we addressed it, when it got posted to the Kingdom Death Monster subreddit, it was very well received.
Oh, wow.
I think that might be our most viewed video, and it's because it went pretty big on that subreddit, and a lot of the comments were saying thank you for, sort of not just saying it's disgusting and it shouldn't exist. The way we talked about it was in a much more
analytical.
I don't want to say, and I guess,
people can make their own decisions, and like, it's your money, it's your decision. If you want to throw down, 300 pounds or however much, was it? I don't remember how much it was.
It's a lot.
I think it's about £3,000 in the end.
yeah.
For the full set. No.
Yeah, but like a person doing that, like they need to know, like what it is that they're getting into, and then if that's their cup of tea.
Hey, I should hire you guys. You guys get it. No, that's a fair point, and I think that's a very it's good. I mean, just from my perspective, I feel like if I was going to review something, I'd certainly be more open to those kind of issues than I was before. Alex, I haven't done a proper review of any game that kind of covered those things before. But do you know what? I have to say, like, a huge kudos to those people that are covering those issues, because it is helping people like me to understand. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, that was probably the deepest question. That was probably. I think it's fair. It's fair though, right?
I think obviously as reviewers we do have those responsibilities, and it is something that we do try and be better at. And I think part of it, we don't play a lot of games with those types of themes anyway. A lot of the games we play are very fantasy or cartoony, and so from what we've seen, the most sort of representation that is going to be viewed negatively is usually the female representation, and so that's something that we then think about more. I
mean, but then you also can consider, people who don't appear in games. I mean, that's also a topic. Like there's plenty of people who just are completely absent from games. And so that's the, a whole other ball of yarn. Is that a phrase?
It is. If it isn't before, it is now. No, I think that's a fair point, and it's not necessarily the doing something wrong. It's the just not doing something at all that people often kind of miss, and those are the kind of things that I'm more aware of now, thanks to reviewers. Actually, just a quick question, because I do want to play the game, because it does it might run over actually. But one question is, who are some of your favorite reviewers? In this whole kind of community, do you have some?
I always, it always started like way back when we first really got into board games. It was a lot of shut up and sit down. So that was Captain Sonar. I remember getting so excited about Captain Sonar. Yeah. Because of the way that they reviewed that.
Yeah, a lot of our bigger, earlier purchases were usually I'd want to buy a game, and this was before our collection really grew and grew and grew. The only time I was ever really able to convince you to be like, hey, let's get this game, is if you'd seen a shut up and sit down video of it where they praised it and explained it in a way that you can kind of go, okay, I understand why I'm going to love this. Yeah. Because the game group, it felt like, oh, our game group is similar to that. Yeah.
No pun included, along the same lines, those two were kind of when we were fresh, still wet behind the ears, board gamers. Those were the kind of things. We did a little bit of Rahdo running through different games, and that helped us a lot. We've got a board game because of him, and I love when he talks about this is me, this is Jen, the way that he gives things from her perspective.
I just, sorry to interrupt, but I am the conspiracy theorist now. Do you think Jen is real?
I've met her.
Yeah, so I know that she is because Lindsay has met her.
I have as well.
Freaked out.
I made a fool of myself in front of
She
her, and
does
I hope she
beautiful
never
gaming glass pieces. She is very much a real person. But, you know, I just like to throw these, you know, this is the rumour mill now, from now on. Sorry to cut that short, but I just want to make sure we have enough time for the game. So, are you ready? People at home can play along with this, even if you're not live, but it's going to be a bit more different if you do. So, you're called Behind the Box, right?
Yes.
So, you must now guess what's behind the box. So this is the game.
Wow.
The game is Behind the Box. So behind here is a game, something game related, all right? Now I've got several pieces, but maybe we won't get time to do all of them. So I'll just start with one. So it's going to be like a 20 question situation. Don't spend ages on it. I know you're very competitive, Lindsay. I can see it right now. You've got your hands in like
And she's
prime
got
mode.
AP.
Yeah. So all I want to do is just, if you try and breeze through this as quickly as possible so you can actually potentially finish the game. You've got 20 questions, yes or no questions, so we're playing standard 20 question rules, so you must guess what's behind the box. And obviously you have one clue already, is that it's smaller than this box.
Yeah.
And it's not Dixit, by the way. Say that, that's a clue. So are you ready? Go ahead, ask as many questions as you want. And I'm going to put a timer. On my phone. This is very unprepared. I'm going to put my timer, and you've got a minute to ask as many questions as you can, and then you're going to make a guess, all right? And then if you get it right, then it's a point to you, and you win the game. Okay, so are you ready? All right, time starts now.
Can it fit in a butter dish?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow, okay.
Is it made of paper?
No.
Is it a game component?
Yes.
Ooh.
Is it a start player marker?
Hang on. Stop for a second, because there's one. I've stopped the time because there's one thing that I knew I forgot to tell you. This is from a game you have covered on your channel.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So just so you have all of these game pieces are games you've covered on your channel. So I forgot to tell you that very important bit of information. Okay. So if you're going to do that last question again, because I forgot what it was.
No, it's all right. Is it a first player marker?
No.
Okay. Is it made of wood?
Yes.
Okay, so it's something wooden.
You're just coming up to halfway.
Okay. Is it from?
Is it from a cooperative game?
No.
Oh.
Is it from a Vital Lacerda game?
No.
Okay.
You're just trying to think of all games you've covered on your channel, aren't you?
Yep.
There's a lot though. There is a lot on there. If anyone is watching and they want to ask yes or no questions as well, feel free. I will answer them.
It can fit in a butter dish. We know it's like a part of a game.
It's wooden.
It's wooden.
It's a competitive game.
It's not a first player
All right,
marker.
you are unfortunately out of time. 1 minute is up.
Oh my gosh.
Do you want to take a guess? Probably not going to get this based on that, but you can give it a go.
Oh, this is so hard.
Go on.
And it's competitive, is it? And it's wood?
It's wood.
Mm-hmm.
All right, come on, guys.
You do it. I can't remember anything that's
I'm gonna give you 3 points if you get this based on this.
Right. I don't know. It's not a first. My guess would have been the dinosaur from Evolution Climate, but
Is it one of those mushroom huts from Spirit Island?
Some DM Gravy has just asked, is it the sheeple? And it's not. And no, unfortunately, it's neither of those. So you don't get this one. But I can reveal that the first piece is the clown from Meeple Circus.
Oh my gosh, I love that game.
I know, and you didn't get it, but it's fine. Don't worry. It's just a game. It's just a game. All right, we're going to do another one because it actually wasn't too long. All right, so you ready? Let me just adjust.
That was really good. You are so good, Russ. Oh, I'm
that's so hard.
All right.
super into
All right, so the next piece has been prepared. You can join in at home, by the way. So I'm going to start the timer again, okay? Remember, questions. That's how you're going to get information, yeah? Don't deliberate on it too long. All right, so you ready? Go.
Yeah. Is it red?
No.
Will it fit in a butter dish?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Is it from a competitive game?
No.
Is it a type of meeple?
No.
Is it like a pawn?
No.
Is it a first player marker?
No.
Is it made of paper?
No.
Is it like is it a game component from a game that's like part of the game, not just a marker?
It's part of a game that's not. Wait, say that again. I'm gonna answer some questions. It's not wooden. It's not made of card. It is a game component.
Game component.
Okay. Is it plastic?
No.
Okay, and it's not red.
Is it paper?
Potentially, I want to say to that. No, not to paper, but maybe plastic. It's
Oh, have we covered
unsure.
No.
No.
You guys are running out of time.
Oh my gosh.
It's not the Azul tile. All right, guys, that's unfortunately the minute is up. Right, you've got one guess each.
Is it the rope from Paranormal Detective?
No, but Chris can have a guess as well.
Would have been a good one. Is it?
That's a very good guess, actually. To be fair.
Yeah. I'm thinking of stuff that we've not covered.
Guess it anyway. Why not? Maybe I'm bad at my job.
Is it one of the buildings from Spirit Island?
No. I can reveal. That was some good questions. You're definitely getting better at the questions. I can reveal that it is this mini skull from Exit the Catacombs of Horror. Can you see that? Can you see that? So that's why I was like, it's sort of plastic because it's like it feels like almost glass.
I still don't know what that's made
Yeah,
of.
I don't know.
If it's rock or ceramic.
No.
I still don't know.
It makes a really nice like clinking sound. So it's almost like dice material. But
yeah.
All right, so
admittedly, I have put it in my mouth before.
that's too much information, Lindsay. No.
Just to know
All right,
what it was.
we're gonna go with one more. Okay, ready? Okay, we're gonna go with one more. All right, because I'm proud of this one. All right, are you ready? Okay, so we're gonna start again, guys. Please feel free to join in the chat again. So what is
looks heavy.
behind the box? What is behind the box? Start your questions now.
Is it red?
No.
Okay.
In a butter dish?
It's not in a butter dish.
Will it fit? Sorry, in a butter dish.
No.
Won't fit in, but I told you it was heavier.
Is it metal?
No. I want to say yes to DM Gravy's question, but no, it's unsure.
Ooh. So his question was, is it a game?
It won't fit in a butter dish. It's what have we done that has like a big component maybe? Like
Well, it could just be a game box. Is it a component?
No.
Not a component. Is it a rule book?
No.
Or is it the box itself?
It is.
Oh my. Okay, so it's a box.
Is it bigger than Death Angel Space Hulk?
Unsure.
Okay.
Is it bigger than the
Yes.
Okay.
Running out of time?
Is it the remainder of Dixit?
Is it Mysterium?
Nope. But even though that's
No,
technically
sorry.
guesses, I'm going to give you some more guesses. 2 guesses, 1 each.
I meant medium. Is it the medium thing? Medium?
Nope.
No.
I want to...
Is it the crew?
No.
Oh, that.
No, it's
that
not.
would've been
DM Gravy asks, does it have nice box art? And I want to say no. I want to say no.
No, not nice
So
box
if
art.
anyone wants to guess from the thing, it is a game that they have covered on their channel. But if I don't hear in the next sort of like 5 seconds, I won't, because there's a bit of a delay and I'd just be waiting for like something.
You know, we should have asked about like the type of video it was in. Like, was it?
I know, that'd be smart.
But that would have been tough on just yes or no questions. And you think, all right, I'm going to reveal it. The right answer is.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Feel it. Mm-hmm.
Patchwork.
Oh.
That was a very long delay in reaction there. That was like, what did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong? All right. Oh yes, of course, because you can't see the. Oh, I didn't. Of course.
In the live stream.
My video as chat has frozen on unfortunately them, so they've just got my nice grinning face. So yeah, it was the Patrick box. So.
That's
a
so
good one.
smart, Russ.
Unfortunately, the game you didn't do very well in the game, but more importantly, did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy the game?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I wanted to win, but I didn't.
I know
And it was
we're gonna find out if you are a sore loser. You're holding it together pretty well, Lindsay. You're holding
Wait
it-
until the stream's over. I'm gonna get an earful.
You should have asked this. You should have narrowed it down.
Yeah, why did I ask if it was red?
That'll be the question for the ages. I am going to now ask Ross's question from earlier on. Okay, so before I do, actually, we've had a comment. That was great. Chris and Lindsay, your board game Calyx is very well organized. Do you have any tips for organizing your games, and do you have a 1 in, 1 out rule? That's a great question. That's my DM Gravy. Thanks for that.
Okay. I'll answer that last part of the question. No, we don't have a one-in.
Do you
have
have
one
half
in,
of that?
one in,
Yeah,
one
do you
in.
have half of that rule, the one-in rule, just not the one out?
We've sort of become board game hoarders.
We are trying to actually cull a bit now.
Yeah.
We've never really done that before, ever.
We moved to a new place, and now we have our big like 5x5 calyx that has all the board games organized by size-ish. You know, like what can fit in the
Can you
cavities?
post a picture of this on Twitter? I'm very curious now.
Yeah, we can do that. So we have the big 5x5, and then we've got these 3 other calyxes, and each sort of has rules associated with it. So like one is for games that we desperately want to play but haven't gotten to the table yet. And then one is for games that, we haven't played it in a while. Do we still want it? Let's give it another try. And then we've got the third row, which is we could get rid of these games now.
And I mean, I was going to ask a question then, but I got to realize there's not enough time left. I can't just keep asking you questions. But maybe, there's always a chance to do this again. Anyway, I want to get back to Ross's question because I did actually start asking it and then rudely just stopped. Favorite show or film you've seen so far during the lockdown? Thanks for the kind of tangential questions. It always seems to be board game related. But yeah, have you seen a really good TV show or film?
Schitt's Creek. We finished Schitt's Creek.
That's bleeped out, I
Very
reckon.
good.
I think that the thing will catch that. I'm joking.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic sitcom. That's if you've not watched Schitt's Creek,
So good.
I would
Definitely recommend it.
All of it's on Netflix. We've not really gone back and rewatched a lot of the old Marvel movies, and because we've been playing so much Marvel Champions, we decided to watch all of the Marvel movies.
And we finished watching them
so
all.
we've done that on Disney Plus.
Oh,
and that
okay.
was awesome.
Do you have a favorite one?
Winter Soldier.
Oh,
Captain.
I like the Ragnaroks.
Yeah,
Ah,
Thor
yeah.
Ragnarok. That's one of my favorites. I think the best movie out of them is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That was just a fantastic film.
Team
Ragnarok was the funniest by far, I think.
Hi, Girls
Yeah.
Game Shelf, who's tuned in, by the way. They are very much Team Ragnarok as well. I have to say, there's a very much a Ragnarok fan circle here. I'm going to probably get some ire from this, but I'm not a huge Marvel fanboy or anything. I've watched a lot of the films. I haven't seen Winter Soldier, but you've made me want to watch that one now based on that. But I have seen the Avengers, and I did enjoy the last couple. They were much better than the first two, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I watched all of the Thors, and it's just really I've watched a lot of them. I've watched all the Iron Mans. I've watched all the Thors, but the Thor Ragnarok was mainly because of somebody recommending it to me, personally recommending it to me, and I was like, that was such a good film. Like, it was so campy and just entertaining, and the action scenes were good, and the story was very good. So yeah, probably one of my favorite of all the ones that I've watched, to be fair. There is time for one more question, and that one is the classic dairy question that I promised earlier on. Team Kate Blanchett, yes. She was very good in that, to be fair.
Yeah.
It is from Paul Grogan, who probably isn't watching, but he's going to watch this later on. What's your favorite cheese?
Cheese.
Ooh.
Oh, I like a good Bavarian smoked cheese.
Ooh, nice choice.
That is a good one. What's the mimolette?
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
cheese.
yeah.
I think it's called mimolette, if I remember correctly.
The one with the cheese mites.
Never.
That
Oh, God, no.
My dad's afraid of it.
Is that the one where there's actual creatures in it, digesting the cheese?
Well, a lot of cheeses do have cheese mites. It's just the amount that is so controversial.
So it's banned in America
Because of how
there's
much-
the whole. Yeah, because of how many mites there are in each square
Oh my
inch
God.
or something like that.
I actually feel a little
but
bit
it's-
ill. I'm talking
It's
about
still,
this. I should point out, we've had a comment. Fang TV says, hello, how are you? Very good, thank you for tuning in. And you can ask a question. We'll go one more question. If you want to ask it, we can squeeze
we're not
it
ending
in.
with dairy. We can't end with dairy and cheese
I'll just
mites.
make some popcorn. Let's just keep this rolling.
Please ask the question. What is your favourite things about Earth and why? Oh, that's a very unique question, actually. I'm going to let you field that. Do you have a favourite thing about planet
About Earth.
I know what mine is right now.
Go for it.
Because our world right now is quite small. We're just in this flat.
Yeah.
Outside this window, in this huge tree, there is currently a magpie family. So we have been, for the last couple of months, watching magpies build a nest. They have then laid eggs, and we've actually been able to witness the like comings and goings of them. And now the fledglings are actually coming out of the nest and like hopping around on the branches.
Oh.
So like nature and wildlife, that right now is so much fun and so interesting to me. Just I don't know if we can see them right now, but usually just from sitting here, we can look outside and just see
so
like
nice.
4 baby magpies just sitting up there.
So basically, the fact that you can basically watch nature happen from outside of outside your garden, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say personally, I mean, it's rare to be asked a question myself on this, but I'm happy to answer it. My favorite thing about Earth is how nature is so diverse, and nature has basically come up with solutions to so many problems across the history of this planet, and how we are still, as a technologically advanced civilization, still taking some direction from nature. You know, there's so many technological things that we have put into place very recently that have come from learning and observing nature, and I think that's fascinating. That's probably my favorite thing, is that nature's always one step ahead of us, you know. That's probably my favorite.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's fascinating that like on different islands and like continents and places that are separated from each other, different animals have filled these niches.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these animals, like, they will function similarly to other animals that are like so far away and they've developed separately, and yet they're still so similar because like they're in those niches. And I think that's fascinating, especially with like marsupials. Don't get me started on marsupials. They're so crazy.
All right. Well, if it's lucky we're out of time, because I would have. Hey.
Oh, darn.
We actually
Is it red?
Is it red? Oh my God, that's brilliant. I'll never forget this. First of all, so we're going to wrap up the chat now. However, first I wanted to say thank you so much to you, Chris and Lindsey, for joining me on this chat. I've honestly had a blast.
Me too.
I want to let you have a chance to plug your stuff. So for anyone watching who's not following you on YouTube or like on Twitter, feel free to plug it right now.
Yeah, so we're on YouTube. If you search for Behind the Box board games, I would say is probably the easiest way. When we made the channel, right about that time that we started uploading videos, Behind the Box challenges became this big thing where people were putting their hands into boxes blind and having to feel weird things.
So random.
To decide. So then people were like,
be specific when you're asking.
Yeah, our friends were like, oh, what's your channel? I'm like, oh, Behind the Box. And they're like, yeah, I can't find that. So we search for board games.
Behind the Box board games.
And then we are streaming as well. We're going to get more into that going forward. Behind the Box, Y for Yankee, T for Tango is the extension.
It stands for YouTube.
That's on Twitch. So if you want to follow them on Twitch.
On Twitch, yeah.
Wonderful. So thank you for that. I'm going to do a little bit of plugging myself now. So if you'll bear with me just a minute. Obviously, if you aren't following already, I have a Twitch channel where we do regular interviews with lovely people like Chris and Lindsey. Just to give you sort of a little bit of a heads up. The next interview I'll be doing is this Friday at 6, so same time, and it's with Emma from the Pointless Parrot podcast. She's lovely. Can't wait to talk to her. She's just completely bonkers, but in a brilliant way. And then next Tuesday, I'm getting to interview Rob Daviau, the legacy gaming man himself. So I'll be very excited to chat to him, talk all legacy game stuff. And obviously, I do have social media, which is down there if you want to check it. And if you do like to support the channel, either by a subscription, which Amazon Prime members can subscribe for free, or by my Patreon channel over there. So yeah, thank you so much again. It's been a lovely chat, and sorry it ran over a bit. And thank you for all your questions at home. Thanks for everyone watching as well. But yeah, until the next chat. Oh, and I should do one more thing actually. I'm doing a solo playthrough of the Great Western Trail game this Thursday at 3 o'clock. So please tune into that as well. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a lovely evening. Thanks for joining us again. And until the next time, take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.